The Media Project.
Excuse me, do you mind if I join you? Are you sure you don't mind? You're absolutely sure I'm disturbing you?
A trip beyond the future to a universe you've never seen before.
Hello and welcome to the Mental Suppository. I'm Bret Herholt.
I'm Andrew Shanley.
I'm Jamie Billings.
And I'm Wayne Nevis.
And our guest tonight is...
Kevin Morgan.
Hello, Kevin. And before we begin, we have a new sponsor to the podcast.
Oh, this is bullshit!
Probably.
The Mental Suppository brought to you by QuestionableHookups.com. Questionable Hookups, a dating app for those with very low standards.
Hi, I'm Charles Scuzzington, founder of QuestionableHookups.com. I started the site for people who really don't give a rat's ass about what they get as long as they get it.
I went on QuestionableHookups.com to find my dream match, but the site sent me to a strip club. Actually, I'm not even sure it was a strip club. I'm not complaining.
Whether you're looking for the love of your life or just someone to jack off your lower south side while eating a Baconator, Questionable Hookups can help you there.
I used that dating app to find the right person for me. Instead, it gave my phone a virus, and that downloaded really loud porn. All in all, I'm pretty happy with it.
QuestionableHookups.com. You can find them on social media, but you may end up on the National Register after that.
Well, actually, this is an interesting year because there's a lot of anniversaries happening this year. And one of them might kind of fly under the radar. Heavy Metal, the movie, turns 40 this year.
Heavy Metal!
Get out!
Yeah. It's the 40th anniversary of Heavy Metal.
Cartoon boobs, yes, the movie.
That movie, I was actually introduced to the music before I was introduced to the movie. About a good year that I used to listen to the cassette. I used to listen to the cassette over and over again because the music was amazing.
Yeah, the soundtrack kills on
Yeah, the soundtrack was amazing for Heavy Metal. I just did not know. I knew it was a magazine. I didn't know they made a movie out of it.
I didn't know it was a magazine.
Well, it
I
was a
didn't know
magazine
it
that
was a soundtrack. I just knew it was boobies.
I actually collected the magazine
Yes.
when I was a kid, and it was like my fucking jack-off material as well as my
There it is.
practice learning to draw and illustrate.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
I wanted to do a comic book myself, but I also enjoyed how adult the images were when I was young.
Well, it was a
I'm
magazine that
sure.
was founded in 1977, and a lot of the scenes in the movie were based on stories from the magazine.
A lot of tattoo artists got a lot of inspiration from it.
I'm sure they. And I don't remember if it was one of those things that the stories were all had that same. I think the connecting thing with the Loc-Nar was all in the movie, but I think
Loc-Nar!
Exactly. And,
I'm
but-
here to tell you scary, boring stories.
It wasn't necessary. That wasn't necessary.
So I think
It was necessary so they'd have the boobies.
But two of the artists that were featured in the movie, one was, I think, one of the stories was originally done by a French artist, Mobius, and the other was by Bernie Wrightson, who is probably one of the best comic artists that ever came out. The story Captain Stern. Which,
Captain Stern.
Which,
Take the red pill and you will see boobies. Take the blue pill and you will see boobies.
Wrong, Mobius.
Oh, Morpheus. I heard wrong.
That's how it works.
So Mobius, he did what? Did he do Harry Canyon?
I believe it was Harry Canyon.
So my question is, Harry Canyon,
I like shaved
by
canyon.
far,
Christ's sake.
This is going to be one of those
3,
episodes.
Well, it was one of those
1.
movies.
Oh, yeah.
There is so much that movie is such an infantile or adolescent
It really is.
material
Well, I didn't
fantasy,
see it-
but it rules. It rules for being
was-
what it is.
It was one of those movies I saw. I didn't see when it first.
Very
came out, but
unapologetic.
I saw it later on, in the 90s. I think one of my friends had gotten it on VHS, and I wasn't terribly taken by it the first time I saw it, just because I thought it was going to be like an art film, and it was just I thought the animation
Oh, you
was.
thought it was going to be like artsy?
Yeah, actually, at first.
Well,
I
like
thought it was,
Ralph
I thought it was
Bakshi
produced-
style?
I thought it was actually produced by Ralph
Fritz
Bakshi
the
at first.
motherfucking cat.
I actually thought it was produced by Ralph Bakshi, and I was never been a
Never been a fan of his. Yep,
No.
same here.
But I was surprised to find out, and I didn't find out until recently, that Ivan Reitman directed it. And this was like his pre-Ghostbusters.
Yeah, we were
Yes.
just talking. There's a lot of
Yeah.
Canadian famous people that are
John
in it.
Candy.
John Candy's in it.
Well,
Eugene
credits
Levy.
just
Eugene
kinda go
Levy, yeah.
flying past you while you're watching the cool
I know.
sports car fly in outer space. What
As
Harold
Elon
Ramis-
Musk is flying by, you're not watching the credits.
Harold Ramis was another voice in it.
Deploy the parachute.
Actually, that was we were making a comment on the
what else is gonna
alien
drive in
scene. The
space except for
two
his classic vet, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
the two aliens who
Yes.
snort a lot of cocaine, and then the
Yeah.
line was, "Hey man, are you okay to drive?" It's like, "That's okay, man." It's like, "I think you're going a little high, man. It's okay. It's one thing I know how to do is drive when I'm stoned." It's like, you know your perspective's fucked. You just got to let your hands work the controls as if you were straight.
That's great. Another voice was.
Just gonna
I'm
let
waiting
your
for that
hands
sound
work.
and the rainbow star. The more you
How I
know.
do it.
Actually, another voice was Doug Kenny, who founded National Lampoon Magazine. He also wrote the movies Animal House and Caddyshack. He did a voice in it, and I think it came out a year after he died. But most movies were like produced year before. So this might have been one of his last, film roles.
What a
Hope he had a
time.
good time doing it, because we had a good time watching it.
Yeah, we still have a good time watching
Oh, yeah,
it.
absolutely.
You know, I mean, as
It was
Dave...
basically an issue of the magazine
Yeah.
if it were all
Yeah.
animated. You see vastly different artistic styles being used. Where there are similar themes in a lot of the stories, but it's vastly different artistic and animation styles when they went to that format. But
I guess there was one scene that was cut from the movie that was
they had
originally.
the Loc-Nar as a framing
Yeah.
device, but it was essentially there just to kind of link together all the different chapters that would be in an issue of heavy metal. If you flip
And I guess
through
there was
it.
a scene that was
That's-
cut that was originally going to use Pink Floyd's "Great Gig in the Sky," I believe.
Oh, I would have loved to
It
have
was
seen that.
between like the Captain Stern and I believe the one with the World War II pilots.
Oh,
It was gonna come
Oh,
out-
right,
Really?
right.
Yep.
That
When
would've-
the, when
that
the
would've
pilot
worked
gets
well.
That
exploded.
actually, the first time I saw that, that scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, I understand why.
That I mean,
zombies
because the
that come
whole
after
thing
him,
was
yeah.
so lighthearted. It was so action oriented, and then all of a sudden you went to this really dark scene with the
Yeah.
airplane and the zombies and the way they came out of the ground when they were when he lands on the island. And it's like, ugh.
Well, the thing about
It was so awesome.
animation, the way people viewed animation back then, and I think this is the reason why it's more of a cult hit now,
Right.
is because people really viewed cartoons as something for kids. You know, they didn't
Yeah.
really. That was the hardest thing I think that movie has had to suffer for quite a long time, because with that film, it was so groundbreaking. We never really saw any R-rated movies. They were all animated that dealt with
Which we mentioned, Fritz
Yeah.
the Cat.
Fritz the Cat. I mean, that was
That was
probably
like a
the
big time in the
precursor.
1970s. And animation, to begin with, were created for adults for the movie theater. A lot of the
I
Bugs
know.
Bunny cartoons that were written for adults.
What was the other? Was it Wizards?
Yeah, Wizards was another one. that
Oh
came
my
out.
God, Wizards was
That-
amazing.
That was a great movie too. But the other
Or
thing too,
anybody remember Rock and Rule?
Yep.
Oh, that's another one.
Oh, I loved Rock and
There's a
Rule.
lot of
And you
really
know what? That's
interesting
another
movies
one.
that came out in that time.
In that
period.
time frame,
That
yeah.
was another one that again was really meant for a more adult audience, but because people had this mentality of cartoon kids, they don't really get that. They didn't get that.
But
the folks that are in power now are the ones who were kids watching these
Exactly.
cartoons, and we have stayed attached to them as we've grown up.
Yep.
And
as
now-
we've come into power or into our own, we like
Right.
this way of framing things. We like watching things that are animated, and we continue to do it. Like Adult Swim is a thing.
Yeah.
You have your Rick and Morty type
Yep.
shows where this is clearly pandering to audiences exactly like us, our age group.
Well, not only that, but you take a
our
look at
socioeconomic place in the world.
the rise of anime, for example, in the 1980s and then in the early 90s, and how
Especially
anime
movies like Akira.
was a big thing.
Star Blazers.
No, but again, just going back to that, now that the younger, and again, it just goes right back to that point. We're the generation that grew up with that stuff, and now we want to see boobies in anime, and
absolutely
it's
we do.
perfectly normal
You
for
mentioned
us.
Akira, which I love.
I
that
mean,
movie.
Actually,
I first
okay.
saw that in
And now
art
there's
school.
like 50 million Shonen Jump kind of things out there. There's all the like younger generation now, like generation.
Oh,
Z,
it's
So-
funny.
have like 50 million anime shows that they
Yep.
all follow.
Yep.
So there's a good example to that point is a show called Love, Sex, and Robots.
Yes.
Love that show.
Yes.
Okay, they're actually making a sequel.
Love, Death, and Robots.
Love, Death, and Robots.
Yeah,
Thank
see,
you.
look
Yes.
Is that on,
If you look at the artwork,
Amazon Prime, is it? Or
It's Netflix.
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 If you look at the artwork, they have the same styling, the same writing style as heavy metal had. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
It's
Well, how
vignettes,
many
yes.
how many artists? Well, how many different artists were involved? Because
I
it
don't
seems
know
like how
offhand,
many
but I
different
do-
styles
Each
was
season
in?
has
Yeah.
like 12 different artists or animators.
Yeah.
And, 12 different.
Well, and most
writers,
animations
etc.
have different, like a lot of the big screen animations, they have different artists that worked with different characters. I mean, even over the weekend at Comic-Con, we my wife talked to an artist who worked on characters from the Black Cauldron.
That's right.
And he worked with certain.
Wait, Disney's the
Yes.
Disney the Black Cauldron?
Yes.
Yep.
No shit.
Yeah,
Yep.
based on the kids' book.
Yeah,
And
no, I
you know
love that
what?
movie.
Dragon's Lair, Space Ace.
Oh my God, I
yes.
love those games.
Space Ace.
Dragon's Lair. I just remember at the fair they had the video game. It never worked.
That game
But
was
the animation
designed
in
to
it was
piss
just
children.
yes,
Absolutely.
Dragon's Lair.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Many
Oh,
a
heck yeah.
quarter was
Only up
lost
until
by
now. You
myself
can go on
that
YouTube
damn
and
game.
Chuck E.
Tantrum.
Cheese got us.
You can
YouTube.
go on YouTube now and you
You-
can watch an
You got that
actual
right.
full run of Dragon's Lair.
Yeah,
Dude, you could do it now.
It's a Don Bluth cartoon.
Yeah, now
It
you
is.
can.
That's right.
Like, so, yeah.
That's Don
basically,
Bluth
yeah,
before he
it
went
is.
really sappy.
Yep.
All dogs
Boy,
go to
that's
heaven,
sappy.
Charlie.
Oh.
Because
Don
dogs are
Bluth
naturally
before he
good.
sold
and
out to the
loyal and
man.
kind.
Let's just not talk about that because it just makes me annoyed.
Here's the thing. Had he taken that movie and the money he made from that movie and made something unbelievable after that, I would accept it. I'd be like, okay, you need
What, like
funds.
Heavy Metal 2?
They
Maybe.
did do Heavy Metal.
Doesn't
yeah.
matter.
They
There
did
was-
It came out
Heavy
like years and years
Or Heavy
later.
Metal 2000. That was a.
Yes, with Michael Ironside.
Strain was the star of this film.
Julie
And,
Strain.
Yeah, author of 6'1" and Worth the Climb. She's awesome.
Oh, that's a cool title.
Michael Ironside, I believe, played the antagonist in the story.
Michael Ironside was in an
he
episode
did.
of Batman the Animated
Yeah,
Series.
but
He
like
actually
Immortally
played the Frank
Insane
Miller Batman.
Pantera wrote the theme song for
What?
the film, which was called
I-
Immortally Insane.
Immortally
I did not know that.
Yeah, how about that? Dimebag Darrell was part of that movie.
That's
Okay,
that's
I'm sorry,
obvious.
Brett. You said something.
I said Michael Ironside was in an episode of Batman the Animated Series. He played the Dark Knight Returns Frank Miller version of Batman for one segment of an episode. And
Get
it was
outta
these
here.
kids, and it was the whole story was based on an old Batman story that all these kids were telling their different stories about Batman. So they had the one like, Batman's got to be really old, and he's got like all these different gadgets, and they go into like the Frank Miller Batman, and it's got his voice, and it's like the bulky sort of like Frank Miller drawing version of Batman. And he just sounded great in the voice.
Yeah.
They recently did a version of Dark Knight Returns, and they actually had Peter Weller from RoboCop as the voice of Batman.
Really?
And he was great.
Every time somebody mentions Peter Weller, I just can't help but picture him getting shot 185,000 times.
Actually, I think of
and then
Buckaroo
it happens to
Banzai.
him again when he's RoboCop. The like cops corner him in a parking garage and they shoot him like 185,000 times.
Actually, it's
Just
funny.
imagine going, dude, come on, man, really?
It's funny. When I think of Peter Weller, I think of The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai in the fifth.
Oh my God, that show movie was amazing.
Yeah, it was a great film.
It's just another cult hit from the '80s. That
Yeah.
people
Another unappreciated movie. It's like
Yeah.
it's like if you watch it, you're
Every
like,
few years I need
what's
to
wrong with this
rewatch it.
movie? Why did you guys hate it so
a lot
much?
of
Because
shit
the
to-
critics
I don't know.
went nuts for that
Kentucky
movie.
Fried Movie.
There's
comes to
just
mind.
there's just
Oh,
something
yeah.
really awesome about
Big
the whole,
Jim
the
I got
whole
one for you.
group of them walking
Kevin.
down the path.
The popcorn
at
you're
the
eating
end
has
of
been
the movie.
pissed.
I'm
Yes.
still
It's just
waiting.
Film at
it's
11.
so cool about that.
I
I'm
know.
still waiting for
And,
Buckaroo Banzai versus the World Crime League.
Yes.
Yes.
I
And
want to
also you
see
have
that movie.
Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum was. I forget what he was like. I want to say Dr. Manhattan, but that's wrong.
Dr. Manhattan. I thought that was
No, that's
the
Watchmen.
Watchmen.
No, but his character basically is dressed like a
cowboy.
50s cowboy.
from Buckaroo Banzai.
Yeah.
Yes, he had the chaps and the overly
yes.
red shirt
The big red shirt with the
Kind of looks like Cowboy Curtis
with
from
the,
Pee
with the
Wee's
buttons going
Big-
down
Yes,
each
yes.
side.
Yes,
that was
Lawrence
Fishburne.
Fishburne.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
There was significant
Cindy
world
Lauper wrote
building.
the theme music for that show.
Yep.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, that's
her
awesome.
voice. That's actually her voice singing.
That doesn't surprise. I never
Yep.
knew that, but it doesn't surprise
Really?
me one bit.
Yes. Yeah,
Larry
unfortunately,
Sullivan knew.
That's fucking
unfortunately,
And now I
my
forgot all
son
the
got
presents. You know
into
what?
Pee Wee.
I know, right?
I remember. Okay, true story. I showed my kids because of course Pee Wee's Playhouse is on Netflix too, and so I was like, "Hey kids, you want to watch a show that me and my wife watched when we were kids?" And I just turned on Pee Wee's Playhouse. The opening alone, I think, broke my children.
Really?
They're like, what?
Dad, are you doing acid?
That's scary!
I mean, seriously, they have this like middle-aged guy with a suit and a bow tie screaming at this camera.
I don't think he was.
Rubens.
I don't think he was quite middle aged at that point.
I think he was in his 20s.
Yeah.
Is it late 20s? Yeah.
Forget about Jason or Freddy. It was Pee-wee that scared my kids the most.
Well, the thing I thought was funny was my son at one point got into Pee Wee Herman, and I kept just waiting, like, no, dude, you don't want to get into this guy. You don't want to watch it. And I tried to tell it to my wife. My wife's like, hey, it's not Caillou. At least it's not Caillou. And I'm like, I can't argue that, but I still can't stand Pee Wee Herman.
You know
Really?
what? There was a video. There was a video on YouTube, guys. There was a video. There was a video on YouTube that somebody did like a while ago. This is funny, where they actually took like Jurassic Park and they put Pee Wee Herman in.
Yes, I saw that.
That was hilarious. They're like running away from Pee Wee Herman.
In the mirror.
But we began talking earlier about the music from heavy metal.
Yes, you were talking about the
Yes,
soundtrack on
that,
cassette.
The soundtrack was on cassette, and I had a job working for. It's funny. I worked for Rockland Trust Bank, and I worked the mailroom. And there was at least a 2-hour window where all I did was sort mail into slots, and I was allowed to throw on headphones. And I bought this tape.
All right.
And I bought this tape, and I would have it on repeat. And I would do that weeks on a time. I'd say like good 4 or 5 weeks.
Where the side would flip automatically at the end of the song, like.
Dude, I had
Playing backwards.
the silver Walkman made in 1981. It was perfect. It was in mint condition, and my father lost it at the airport.
No.
He went through
Some
TSA.
TSA agent got to keep it. That's
Yup.
what the fuck.
Hey,
Here's a weird thing. I saw it on Amazon for purchase. It's like $300 for it, and I'm like, I get it. Not worth it, but I get it.
I love the Walkmans when they have all the switches that do
No shit.
absolutely nothing.
Introduced that
You know, like super bass.
Yeah.
Well, with all the accessories and whatnot.
Brand new, right.
Well, you're looking-
the
well-
little microphone that attached to
Wait.
the headphone wire.
Wait,
and-
who, do you
They had a little
remember-
battery pack that would
Oh,
go
yeah,
with
I
it, so
remember
you would
those days.
always have power.
I would
remember
keep a
the play-
blank
the-
tape
the
in that thing
playlist?
and have it
Yeah.
constantly
Oh, my
ready
God.
in case, like, the new Metallica song came
Do I remember
on
the
radio.
order? Holy.
What's your favorite song off the album?
Okay, so it started with "Take a Ride" on heavy metal, which I think was Don Felder. Was it not Don Felder?
Might have been. I don't know.
Then it went to "You See Me Now, a Veteran of 1,000 Psychic Wars" by Blue Oyster Cult.
Oh, yep, that's right.
Yeah.
First time I ever got introduced to Blue Oyster Cult was that
That's a
cassette.
good introduction.
Yeah, I love that song. Let's see. The next one was
Was Dio on that album or no?
I think he was on the.
no.
No,
He was
okay,
not
no.
on that album. But no, you're right. You're right. The Mob Rules.
Was Black Sabbath on that?
Yes, Black Sabbath with Ronnie James Dio
That's
doing
right,
the
okay.
Mob Rules during the scene with the what was that? The girl with the boobies and the flying
That was
Oh, that was
everything.
the
bald
end of
bird.
that was
The
end
last
of
episode, yeah.
Torna.
That's it. Also, you had Sammy Hagar. I think it was like still.
What was the point?
Sammy
of that
Hagar
song?
did a heavy metal version.
Ritual with the girl where she had to like go to the sacred swimming pool and go change into a different outfit, and that, made
That was
her
just
a
to show
warrior
nudity. I would
automatically.
imagine. Nudity.
It was all cartoon ass. That was all cartoon ass.
And cartoon frontal.
No, the cartoon frontals when she got out of the pool, and when she's in the pool, it's all ass.
Wasn't like the first scene that you saw frontal was when some girl was being like grabbed by a couple other guys, and she's like thrashing against them, and then you're like,
It looked like
some boobies.
Yeah,
it
her
looked
shirt
like a
comes off
blacksmith
like that.
apron.
It was the cab driver one, I think.
Oh, and Harry Canyon, yeah, the girl wants to sleep with him. Like, can I sleep with you?
Okay, so
oh yeah,
Harry Canyon. Who has ever watched the movie The Fifth Element?
Oh yeah.
Tell me that they didn't rip that off, because I always felt.
Now that you mention it, yes.
But she's in the other room, and he's like, "Don't worry about it. I'm going to bed."
Who is it? Andrew Dice Clay?
I know it's kind of.
It's Romano.
Isn't that what he sounded like?
Yeah, you're right. No, you're absolutely
He,
right.
he had like a little accent with it, but it
He's
was like
like-
this hot redhead's in the other room, and he's like, "Don't worry about it. I'm gonna go to sleep."
And he's got something in his. And he's got something in his cap that just disintegrates people. It's like, gosh, I'd really like that.
And all he's
I'd
got-
probably be using it left and right.
Oh, officer pulling me over. Yeah, there's nothing in the trunk. Wink, wink. I need to see what's in the trunk. No,
Don't go in the
do
trunk.
it.
Zap.
Loc-Nar destroys the officer.
Now,
there was the scene
Man,
with
I
John
just believe
Candy.
in that.
Now, it's funny you mentioned that because that is technically a
Repo
ripoff
Man.
of Repo Man. I was just
Repo
making
Man.
that comment.
Yep.
The scene with the little nerdy guy and the cop pulls, the highway patrolman pulls him over, and he's like, "You don't want to go look in the trunk. Open up the trunk." Okay.
Nothing but
And I was
shoes
saying
allowed.
the John Candy in the scene. I forget what the character's name was, but he basically starts out as kind of a dweeby kid who becomes
Dar or
Oh,
No,
shit,
not
yeah, I
Den.
know the sequence you mean.
Den.
Den.
And this was John Candy
Wait, I'm
before he
walking
kind
around
of
this
hit
place
his.
with my dork
hanging out.
And this
No,
was
no,
John
this was John
before he
Candy
got
with like
hit-
the SCTV, so he
Yep.
had that popularity because that was already going on from like the late 70s.
And I
Like,
like that
half
story
the
mainly
cast of
because it was like.
SCTV is in that movie.
Is in the
Yeah.
movie because Eugene Levy, yeah, absolutely.
Well, the other thing too, I like that story because it was
Or
like
was it
at the
Harold
first, at the
Ramis or-
beginning, he's
They're
like
both.
he's like a loser, and then he becomes this big, huge freaking hero, and all the girls want to fuck him, and you know.
Why would I
Right,
go
right.
back
And
to
he's
Earth?
like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna go back to Earth. Yeah, well, what about his fucking mother, dude? He lives with his parents. He's like 11.
Dude, if I was 11 and that shit happened to me, I'd be like, bye.
He's like, not gonna miss them anymore.
Yep.
Like,
I've got something cool. It's called.
Have a great life.
imagine the years and years of strain and strife as the mother tried to recover from the crippling grief of how her child just disappeared
Unless
the
they were
night
like-
the meteor fell.
unless they were like the
I mean,
parents
what
from-
the fuck?
Yet
Unless they're
he's
like the
in another
parents from,
dimension,
Oh,
laughing
they're
at
boating
all these girls.
He's
Un-
boating
unless
with
they're
him,
like
he's
the
got a
parents from Time
dragonfly that he
Bandits.
rides on, and like,
Oh, the parents in Time Bandits.
Unless they're like the parents from Time Bandits and they just don't give a
And they
crap.
don't give a fuck.
Let's be
Yeah,
honest. Let's
right?
be honest. The way that children were depicted in frickin' movies back then obviously was a little bit more harder edged than they are to fucking today.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you look at the fucking Goonies, like for example, and Shunk is gonna have his
Rocky
hand
Road?
put into
A
a
blender.
goddamn blender. You know, that shit would never happen today. No.
1977, Rolling Thunder with oh crap, forgot his name. Anyway, there's a scene where they want this man to tell these criminals where these box of gold coins are. So he refuses to do it. So they take his hand and they put it in a blender, not a blender, a garbage disposal. And as his hand is going in the garbage disposal, the son sees what's going on and says, all right, I'll tell. So he goes and he grabs it. And of course, one of the criminals like, you dumb fuck, you let this all happen even though one of your kids ratted you out. Because he never says a word. He never cries out, never does anything. But just the look on his face as they put his hand in this garbage disposal, it looked really well done. I just wanted to add that one.
I'm gonna have to see this movie now.
Oh my
At
God,
that point-
Rolling Thunder.
Rolling Thunder. Put that on your 2C list, folks. Put it on your Netflix list.
not Treat William.
William Devane. William
What do you
Devane
have
and a
there?
very young
What do I have
Tommy
here?
Lee Jones.
Hold on a second, guys.
Hold on, guys. Hold on.
Hold on, guys. Brett just pulled out. This is special report. Special report.
Well, I thought we'd play a little true and false game. Because earlier I mentioned I thought Heavy Metal was actually directed by Ralph Bakshi because it had a lot of the elements that Ralph Bakshi film would have. You know, it was. That's why I mentioned. But I thought when I first saw it, it was Ralph Bakshi because it looked like it. You know, a lot of his films. You know,
It's kind of styling.
stilted
Yeah.
animation, a lot of rotoscope, boobs. You know, what would usually be in a Ralph Bakshi film. So I thought I'd test our cinema knowledge and see if we could tell the difference if it's true if it's Ralph Bakshi or false if it was directed by somebody else. So
Okay,
whoever
so-
gets the answer, just raise your hand and I will
I was
pick
thinking
you.
we should do something better than just raising our hands.
What?
If we have the answer, we should say our name.
Yeah.
Whoever has the answer has to quickly say their name first.
Good idea.
If Brett hears it first, Brett will answer. Okay, so your bell to ring in is going to be your name.
Okay.
So once
Works
Brett
for
reads
me.
the question, let's try it.
So question number 1. Down and Dirty Duck is a 1974 adult animated movie starring Mark Volman and Howard Kalin, better known as Flo and Eddie from the Turtles and Frank Zappa's band The Mothers of Invention. True or false? Is this a Ralph Bakshi film or false? Was it done by someone else?
Douchebag.
Yes,
Oh,
douchebag.
Did it have to be my name or just any name?
Could be any name. Yeah.
That was not directed by Ralph Bakshi.
Correct. And for It was actually animated by Fred Wolf and his company Murakami Wolf. For extra points, who could answer this? What popular animated series did Murakami Wolf produce in the late 1980s?
Was it Thunderbirds or something like that? No, I draw a blank.
Anybody?
Nope.
All right, it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, really?
Yep, they
Ninja Turtles.
Wait, he produced Teenage Mutant? Seriously?
Yep, they did that
Year
in
and a half
19
show.
I think it was like 1988 or 1989 they produced that series. So they went from one set of turtles to another set of turtles.
Along
Yeah,
with Kevin
that's a
Eastman
lot of
and
turtles.
Peter Laird.
That's they were the ones who created the comic book, but they
And
actually
then it went
did
over
the
to
animated
those
series
to be the producers.
of the animated
Well,
series.
did you know the comic book is so much more fucking violent than the
Oh, yeah, I know
television shit? It was not intended for children when it
All right.
when it was
That was pretty much the way the original Batman. I apologize.
Yep, no worries. Okay, question number 2. Heavy Traffic was a 1973 animated film. The film, which begins, ends, and occasionally combines with live action, explores the often surreal fantasies of a young New York cartoonist named Mike Corleone. True. Was this a Ralph Bakshi film, or false? Someone else.
Andrew,
Andrew.
say false.
No, it was true.
It was true.
It was considered one of Bakshi's most biggest successes.
It sucked.
I'm sure it did.
I mean, as far as a young boy watching a movie with, cartoon titties, it was fabulous. But as far as somebody who got older and watched this movie for the storyline, it sucked.
Storyline?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
basically,
exactly.
you're telling me it was a lot like Showgirls, but with cartoon boobies. Okay.
Pretty
Okay,
much.
next
Actually,
question.
More girls.
Next question. Rock and Roll was a 1983 animated film which featured the music of Debbie Harry, Cheap Trick, Earth, Wind and Fire, and Iggy Pop. True. Was Rock and Roll a Ralph Bakshi film, or false? Someone else. False.
False. It was not.
Oh.
It was not Ralph Bakshi.
It was
Absolutely
actually produced.
not.
It was produced by Nevlana. Thank you.
Nevlana.
And for extra points, can anyone answer this? What late 80s cartoon did Nelvana produce based loosely on a popular creepy movie at the time?
I want to
Cartoon
say
animated series based on a movie.
Beetlejuice.
Correct.
Whoa!
Good
Nice.
job, Wayne.
Just thinking that one.
say
Okay.
that.
All right. Next, When the Wind Blows is a 1986 animated film which features the music of David Bowie and Roger Waters. True. Was this a Ralph Bakshi film, or false? This was produced by someone else.
Andrew, this was produced by somebody else.
Correct. It was again produced by Jimmy T. Murakami, the other half of Murakami Wolf.
That movie
This-
is so painful to watch.
Oh, really?
Was it bad?
No, it's just really a hard end and everything else like that. You're like, because I remember that because it was the 80s and everybody's. It wasn't about whether the bombs were gonna drop, is when.
Oh, so a lot more doom and gloom.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
It was very.
Extra points.
Yeah, the question was how many megatons.
For extra points, this was based on British comic book artist Raymond Briggs' work. This is not the first time Murakami worked with Raymond Briggs. What's the other book that Raymond Briggs did that Murakami worked on?
Oh God, it's the rabbit movie.
Watership Down.
Watership Down.
False.
No. Oh crap.
It's The Snowman.
Snowman.
Never heard of it.
It was a children's
Wait,
book.
is that whimsical, it looks like it was colored in colored pencil?
That's the one.
The-
It had
the
David
Snowman.
Bowie.
Okay,
It had David Bowie introduced the beginning of it.
Really?
In some of the ones. Okay. Next
heard of it.
I
question.
don't know that I've ever actually seen that.
This doesn't sound anything that I know
Like
of.
if I'd seen it, I'd remember.
It's something. If you had HBO in the early '80s, that was something that you would
Or
see
PBS.
before the bus showed up. Yeah.
Okay.
Before the bus
Everybody
showed
has
up.
PBS.
Next-
I don't know about HBO.
Next question. American Pop was a 1981 animated film which featured the music of Pat Benatar, the Mamas and the Papas, and the Doors. True. Was this a Ralph Bakshi film, or false? Someone else. I saw Wayne had his hand up.
I believe that was Ralph Bakshi.
You are correct.
That was an amazing movie. That was a well thought out story.
But unlike Rock and Roll, it didn't feature any original films specifically for the film.
No, correct. Yeah, all the music made for Rock and Rule was original, but the stuff for American Pop was all already pre-recorded stuff.
Right.
Like I love the fact that they did almost like a Jefferson Airplane type thing with I can't remember the character. Oh my God, I'm such an asshole. I can't remember the characters' names, but he's like sitting in a closet writing music for the band outside, and the band is basically imitating Jefferson Airplane, and they're getting ready to do Woodstock.
Next question. The Flight of Dragons was an animated film starring Harry Morgan, James Earl Jones, and John Ritter. True. Was it Ralph Bakshi or false? Someone else.
I'll go with someone else.
Correct. It was actually produced by Rankin Bass, who did the puppet animation for like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh, no kidding. That's funny.
Oh.
Next question.
Yukon Cornelius.
Yeah. Next question. Mighty Mouse: The New Adventures was a 1987 animated series. True. Was Ralph Bakshi involved or false? Done by someone else.
I want to say Ralph Bakshi was involved.
You are correct. Ralph Bakshi was the producer of the series, which met with controversy for an episode when Donald Wildman, head of the American Family Association, alleged that there was a scene in the cartoon which Mighty Mouse snorted cocaine.
Ooh.
The scene in question was Mighty Mouse had in his hand a crushed flower, which the artist involved insisted he was just smelling the flower, which in the cartoon he proceeds to inhale, which looks, even at in 1987,
superpowers.
it looks like cocaine.
So basically,
Underdog
what
takes
the
a pill to
Scarface
have
route.
superpowers.
So originally they were gonna take out the scene, but naturally John Kay, the creator of Ren and Stimpy, who would go on to have his own controversies, was the one who insisted that Bakshi restore the scene when editor Todd Klein expressed his concerns over what it looked like. For a little bit of a bonus round of questions on this one, and pick up a few extra points. The first extra point was this Ralph Bakshi's only time involved with Mighty Mouse? True or false?
Probably not.
Correct. Ralph Bakshi actually started his career at Terry Toons.
Terry Toons.
Yep, that was actually his first job, and he actually created a series specifically for Terry Toons. Can anybody remember what that series was?
Did not John Krafalski also do Terry Toons?
Who?
John Krafalski?
No, that was a little bit long before. He was still pretty young when Terry Toons was coming out. He didn't start doing animation until like maybe the late 70s, early 80s. But no, but Ralph Bakshi got his start with Terry Toons. But what series? He actually specifically created a series for Terry Toons. Can anybody remember what that series was? It involved. I'll give you a little bit of hint. It was a superhero series, a superhero team series.
Does this involve 3 people working together?
More than 3.
Oh boy.
Anybody remember?
I think of all the like superhero team cartoons I watched when I was a kid. Super Friends and Herculoids and
Bionic 6.
Yeah, right.
This would have been way before
This is
Beyond
all
6.
earlier.
Power
This is all
Rangers.
earlier
Yeah.
stuff that I would have considered oldie stuff when
Captain
I was little.
Planet.
Yep. So anybody?
I got nothing.
The answer is the Mighty Heroes,
The Mighty Heroes.
which had a group of like sort of odd heroes. Was like Strong Man, Diaper Man, Rope Man. Paper Man.
Yes, I remember the show now.
Now.
It was terrible.
It really was.
But it was entertaining.
But for extra points,
As a kid, come on, it was entertaining.
And then the bus would come.
for one final
More
extra
entertaining
point.
than golf that was on the other channel.
For one final extra point, there was a series that came out by Filmation called The New Adventures of Mighty Mouse in 1979. Was Ralph Bakshi involved with that one? True or false?
No, he wasn't.
No, he was.
Oh, was he?
Yes. And so now we're moving on to the next question.
Secretly prolific Ralph Bakshi.
Return of the King was an animated movie created in the 1980s. True, was it Ralph Bakshi or false? It was someone else.
True.
That was Ralph Bakshi.
False. He did do Lord of the Rings and Two Towers, but Return of the Kings was actually produced by Ralph.
Trick question.
Was actually produced by Rankin Bass.
Who did the Hobbit?
Rankin Bass. They also did.
Oh,
There you go.
that makes so much sense
The
now.
9 fingers.
Okay.
Where there's a whip.
Next question.
There's a way.
Next question. Hey Good Lookin' was an animated 1982 coming-of-age comedy drama. Was this a Ralph Bakshi film or false? Someone else.
Or was it false?
No, it was true.
Really?
It was a Ralph Bakshi film. Set in the 1950s, focusing on greasers, gangs, and fast cars.
Now I remember that movie.
Ah, that makes sense.
It also was terrible.
Okay. One last question. This one's going to be multiple choice. Which was Ralph Bakshi's last project before retiring? Was it A, Cool World, B, Spice City, or C, The Last Days of Coney Island?
Cool World.
It was
Cool World.
Cool World, because that film flopped unexpectedly.
I'm gonna say that Coney Island.
Unexpectedly?
Right.
Oh, motherfuckers!
You got it right.
The Last Day of Coney Island. Unlike his previous projects that have been released on television and theaters, this film was released on Vimeo, or whatever it's called.
Vimeo.
Thank you. On October 29, 2015, and then for free on YouTube in October 16th of 2016. Yeah.
For free!
So.
The price that nothing ever is. I would probably say that Wayne took away that one.
I think he
Oh,
did.
thank you.
No.
Wayne, you kicked
Well done.
ass.
Yeah, you
Thank
killed
you very
Wayne.
much.
Oh, if I can.
I do
Not
love.
much esoteric knowledge on that subject, but it's fascinating.
I
Learned a bunch of shit today.
will
Well,
admit.
I thought about it because I just thought, like I said, I thought Heavy Metal was a Ralph Bakshi film, and then found out years later it was Ivan Reitman, and it's like yeah, how well do we know our animated films?
No, it's part of the Mandela effect.
But
Exactly. You think you remember things.
You think you
but
remember.
Don't really.
that's right. Actually, that's true.
Never happened.
After watching, speaking of the films, after watching Heavy Metal, I actually went through and watched a lot of the other films that like Bakshi and other artists had done, like Rock and Roll. I ended up watching Fire and Ice, which was produced by the great Frank Frazetta.
Frank Frazetta.
Yep.
One of the greatest fantasy
Well,
artists.
he co-produced Fire and Ice with Ralph Bakshi in 1983, and it was very Masters of the Universe.
Yep.
It was also very
Did you
rotoscope
ever see
too.
the live-action Masters of the Universe film?
Yes.
Dolph Lundgren was in it.
We've talked
We
about it.
did a podcast on
You
it.
missed
Oh,
that
really?
podcast.
I missed that podcast.
You,
Yep.
you're going to have lots of entertaining.
Then you should not have spoken.
Anyway, I love Frank Langella in that movie.
Oh, Frank Langella is
He
an
owns
excellent actor.
that. He owns Skeletor.
Absolutely, that was the best anyone ever did the
You know,
role.
there's Sean Connery for James Bond. There's Harrison Ford for Indiana Jones, and then there's Frank Langella for Skeletor.
Yeah.
That's just how it's gonna have to be.
Agreed. But who the fuck is Catwoman?
Julie Newmar.
Julie Newmar.
Oh, forever Julie Newmar.
Oh yeah.
Of course. You know,
Eartha Kitt definitely
Eartha Kitt was pretty good.
Eartha Kitt definitely gave Catwoman like a distinctive type of voice, like a
Yeah.
sexiness to her voice and a cadence to her voice.
Oh, I loved
but
her.
Julie Newmar
But she was the first.
definitely had the body.
And
Well, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer, dude. Let me tell you something about Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer in a rubber suit, okay?
The thing about Michelle Pfeiffer is she did amazing. Like she actually trained on how to use the whip in that movie. And there's an outtake of her in that film actually using the whip and hitting 3 targets in a row perfectly.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
And-
For the scene where she has to knock off the heads.
Yeah, she still uses her whip tricks occasionally. You know, she was on YouTube occasionally.
Well, like as like a party gag.
Yeah, I guess
Hey,
basically.
why not?
Hey, why not? You know what?
Yeah.
What else? You know, hey, crazy secret little things. Hey, I learned how to use whips when I was dressed up as Catwoman.
Absolutely.
And to think,
Crack
That's
a
like
whip. It's
permanent
like a
souvenir,
bicycle.
like,
and to think Harrison Ford could have done some fencing on the side, but no, I'm lazy. I don't want to learn it. I'm just gonna shoot him.
There's actually tons of outtakes on that one too, because like they were gonna actually have a huge big action sequence, and Harrison Ford wasn't feeling well that day.
Most of the crew had
I think it was
diarrhea.
I was
Most
gonna
of
say
the
it was
crew had
dysentery, wasn't
diarrhea.
it?
Most of the crew had diarrhea.
So they said,
dates.
Diarrhea.
"Yep, that's it. Bad dates."
Diarrhea.
But yeah, so that was what it is.
Diarrhea.
Yeah. And not like there wasn't enough action in that movie already. There's like 15 action scenes in that movie.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, okay.
No, the whole film was basically strung together action sequences.
I mean, it was brilliantly done.
Did you ever see his first movie?
Are you talking about American Graffiti?
No, Duel.
Oh,
Oh,
Duel?
Steven Spielberg.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
Spielberg.
I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about here.
Yeah,
Yeah, Duel.
Dennis
Spielberg.
Weaver. Dennis Weaver.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, that movie was ridiculously cheap, but well made.
That was the film where
To which I would
Steven
immediately
Spielberg.
say El Mariachi. You ever see that movie?
Oh yeah.
I actually can't
It's
get through
been
it.
remade 2 or 3 different ways, but nobody ever touched the original, which only cost $5,000 to make.
I remember, funny thing about
can't
Duel
get through
is
it.
when Spielberg
It's
was
so
starting
bad.
out,
I understand the purpose of it. I like it, but Dark Star by John Carpenter, his first movie.
Yep.
Can't get through that one either. I'd rather blow my brains out.
You know what though? There are elements of brilliance in those movies, especially from first time directors that they show where they're gonna go. But like you really have to see their careers as they've unfolded to really appreciate it.
And yet, there are some directors that coming out of the gate are effing amazing.
Yeah.
George Romero, for one thing.
Oh yeah.
The fact that he not only made a movie with the low budget that he had, but he also put a black man at that time as the main character.
Yeah, protagonist.
Right.
He's the
The
guy
biggest-
who knows what the fuck he's doing when Barbara is clearly falling
Okay,
apart.
Green.
Right?
Now talk about the Loc-Nar. Get it back on track.
Oh, sorry. Loc-Nar.
Shiver me goddamn timbers.
Sorry, I blanked out.
It was pirate time, sorry.
Tell us about the Loc-Nar.
So the thing that got me about the Loc-Nars, and I agree with you with the whole kind of framing of the stories, kind of weaving it in, because there's at least 2 stories that have absolutely nothing to do with the Loc-Nar. The whole,
The airplane story, for example, with
No.
the zombies, that had nothing to do with the Loc-Nar.
but the Loc-Nar did go through the plane, didn't it? So,
So I kind of wonder if that was part of the original. I wonder if it wasn't. They just sort of put it in as sort of a plot point in the movie, just to sort of make all the stories connected.
You know, the thing about movies is that there's always that filler that they put in. That's
yeah,
how
but
it
you
is.
have to admit that's a scary
This is
ass
just to make
filler.
sure it gets
Oh, yeah.
over.
That scene scared the shit out of me.
But yeah, I mean, like they are like, oh, I'm sure that there's some scenes. The thing about anthology movies is there's always going to be like that one scene that they throw in
Yes.
that's not connected to everything, just so that they can get over a certain hump.
Right,
so that they
and
can
also
distribute it.
it because that dovetailed with the theme of the magazine.
Yep.
I mean, heavy metal was always made of vignettes that did not necessarily relate to each other, but there would often be a longer vignette that was divided into 2 parts. There's one at the beginning of the magazine, and then it continues later after
Okay.
several other vignettes have happened. They tried to use the Loc-Nar as the same kind of framing device with varying success. I don't know if that wobbly success.
Yeah, that's a.
Yeah.
I'm the Loc-Nar. I'm threatening.
Well, for instance, Harry Canyon, it's all about the Loc-Nar. The what is it? The airplane. The Loc-Nar just kind of goes right through it, and we never hear about it again.
In
So-
Captain Stern, you have the guy wearing a smaller version of the lot. I think he's like
It's like a marble.
Yes,
The
that.
he's like-
secretary has one.
No,
Yes.
no, not the
Around her
secretary.
neck in the other story,
Oh, that's
the,
right.
Alien abduction story. The secretary has one around her neck, like for no reason. It
But
has
in
nothing
in
to do
the
with
Captain
rest of
Stern
the
one,
story.
yeah, you're right. It's the guy's playing with the marble.
Yeah,
and it just
it's
makes
the
him
witness.
Go insane. Yeah, the
The
witness,
witness go nutty. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
and then suddenly kind of Hulk out and
Hand
go
over
after
fist.
Stern.
Yeah.
Hand over fist. Yeah.
But did the Loc-Nar make him do that? It seems to like it was part of the
It was
pirate's
originally-
plan. He was supposed to Hulk out like that.
Right.
It
No.
was in the original
Loc-Nar
story.
did
No,
that.
no, 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 no. He
I
was
meant-
originally supposed to go up there, say great things about Captain
No,
Stern.
I think he was not just a character witness because, like, after the hulking out and the destroying of the space station, he did pay him his 35,000 Zulaks. He just then betrayed him, right?
Which is
That
what he
was the
planned to
That's-
do from the
that's
get-go.
running cost for destroying a
But the
space
character was sort
station,
of written as
35,000.
it was originally described as a cross between Han Solo and James Garner.
I mean, he couldn't have imagined for a second that as a character witness it would.
No, I
work.
kid you not.
I've never
That-
seen
that's how he was
anything
written.
illegal.
I'm just trying to imagine like the Rockford Files. Jim.
I was gonna
Rockford
say
as
yeah,
Han
like
Solo.
Jim Rockford's on.
But it
see
undone.
This is Han Solo. Leave a message after the beep.
Leave a message.
Oh my God!
Han Solo, this is your dentist calling, and
He's just driving around the space in a Camaro.
da-da-da-da-da-da. But it was actually Eugene Levy who did the voice of Stern in that movie.
Oh, sweet.
Yep.
He's awesome. I love
yeah.
Eugene Levy. But here's also another thing that also introduced me was the fact that they used music already created, but worked for the scenes.
Yes.
The prime example would be the Mob Rules by Black Sabbath,
Yes.
which is used in the, I forget the girl's name, the girl with the flying bald bird.
Tarna.
The Tarna episode.
Yeah.
They have
I'll
that.
have to
They
stand
have
over and over again while that poor little bald fuck tries to work the door lever.
They have Black Sabbath. They have Devo.
Yep.
Doing.
I forgot the Devo.
Working in a coal mine.
Yep.
That's at a club.
Yeah, they're the band in the bar too.
Yep.
Yep. And which is perfect because that's what Devo sounded
That was,
like.
that was the height of Devo too. That was around the time they were really popular.
Devo. D-E-V-O.
It is nice to know.
Pardon me.
Sorry. It is nice to know though that Devo. Yes, Devo itself eventually became defunct, but the brain behind Devo kept going.
Right. Absolutely.
Mark Mothersberger?
Insert name here.
I'm serious. I hate his name. I hate his name.
Well,
I don't know. I just don't want to have my dork hanging out.
None of us want your dork hanging out.
whip it good.
Whip that dork good.
Ba-na-na-na-na.
Whip that dork good.
Trying to think of something else about heavy metal.
That's the thing about heavy metal. It was one of those it was one of those awesome movies back and then, and it inspired a lot of people. With stuff like another great animated movie from the '80s that really kind of I think that was inspired by this was like The Secret of Nim.
Kinda, yeah.
I think that
it
was
was
just
actually for a cartoon. It was darker than most at the time. So
I mean that was another
not
kid
quite
movie.
Watership Down, but it was
It was more depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Watership Down really was that was a down movie.
I could never watch that again.
And it's a cartoon?
Yep.
Yep.
It's basically about it's just
About a bunch of rabbits. And,
mixed with Lord of the Flies.
And there's
it's really uplifting.
Involved. There's blood.
John Hurt's one of the voices in it.
Oh, I have to see this movie now.
Oh, yeah.
This was like young John Hurt, where his voice wasn't quite gravelly.
There was never a young John Hurt.
But his voice wasn't quite.
He was
gravelly at the
always
time.
70.
But he hadn't had that voice quite yet that he's known for, where he kind of.
But if you think about it, John Hurt hit this weird stride in like the mid 80s, the late 80s onward, where he just never changed.
Yeah.
His appearance was always the same, old.
It started in 1979 when he got killed by the alien.
The alien, yeah.
That'll do it to you.
You know. I loved it when he did.
Yeah.
John Hurt. I loved when he did the cameo in Spaceballs. You remember
Yes.
that?
Oh no, not again!
Not again!
Actually,
Which
fun
that's
little
a
trivia note.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference also. Aggro-Jack, not again. Like, oh no, not again. It's like every time something happens as a Deus Ex Machina in that story. It's the
silence you
same
hear.
being that must sacrifice itself.
In the theatrical version, or I should say even the extended version, there's supposed to be a scene which they cut out, and that's Veronica Cartwright is in her. This is the movie Alien.
Okay.
Fun little tidbit about this movie. John Hurt and the director.
Oh yeah.
The director.
They didn't tell the cast.
Exactly. Ridley Scott, thank you. The two of them came up and said, listen, we're going to have this thing shoot out of your chest, and it's going to spurt blood everywhere, and we're not telling anyone else. We want
gave a real reaction.
We want real
Affected expressions of
reactions.
horror and revulsion because they did not know it was going to happen.
Well, and it didn't help the fact that he continued to convulse after the fact, so they thought, oh my God, this is real, and so they're really trying to get him to calm down.
Well, and the
But
thing looked
Veronica
like an
Cartwright...
eviscerated turkey, so...
Veronica Cartwright is wearing her space outfit, but she's also wearing these red cowboy boots. And when the thing pops out of its chest, you hear her say, "Oh God!" because she got a good dosage of the spray of the blood on her.
Right in her mouth, actually.
And she got
You could hear
so
her choking,
disgusted.
like, "Oh, God."
She got so disgusted she fell backwards over the sofa, and all you could see are her 2-foot red boots, cowboy boots, sticking up in the air. And they caught that on film, but they didn't edit it in the movie.
Oh wow.
Wow. It should have been.
It should have been added. I mean, it would have worked perfectly because
Well, there's a director's cut of that film, and it's not in that either.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
There's
Exactly.
like 20,000 cuts of Alien nowadays.
Yeah.
It's like everything that's old that was back then.
just like Blade Runner.
Oh, Blade Runner is like
The David
50
Bowie
cuts.
film Labyrinth.
Oh my god.
I love
There's
that
like
movie.
5 different director's cuts of that film.
Yeah.
Like the Tangerine Dream one being by far the worst.
I don't know. I always like Dark Side of the Rainbow when they took like Wizard of Oz and the Dark Side of the Moon and they put that together. And that was
Oh
kinda
yeah.
cool.
That supposedly they sync up in
So,
unusual ways. I've never.
I do have a question.
So Wayne,
Why is it the Harry Canyon story and the movie The Fifth Element are not talked about more as being this is really a continuation of this story?
that's a good question.
Because if he just changed his name to Harry Canyon, everything else would be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to make one change in that story of The Fifth Element other than his name.
Multipass.
How to watch?
Right, she knows it's a
I
multipass.
don't know. There's a lot of elements in that story.
Good job, Jamie.
That are
Could you
not in
rub
the
it, my
Harry
man?
Canyon story. And all the
I
Harry
didn't know
Canyon
you some
story is
fire.
very crude storytelling elements, really. There's the Loc-Nar, the criminals who want the Loc-Nar,
Actually,
The girl
I'm
who
not
wants the
even
Loc-Nar.
thinking.
girl who wants the Loc-Nar, and Harry himself.
No. Don't even think about Harry Canyon as the actual movie. Yes, I think they did a really good job with it. I'm talking about the actual series. If you actually read the heavy metal series of the Harry Canyon
Tell us more
character,
about it, please.
Yeah.
well, it was a very dark character. He was
Makes sense, yeah.
He was like a Raymond Chandler
Yes,
style
that's the-
character who didn't take any
I got a
bullshit
very
from
Dashiell
people.
Hammett, Raymond
Casually
Chandler.
execute a person with his
Who
taxi cab
only
weapon.
yes, but here's the thing: he only hurts people who try to hurt him. He
Yeah.
doesn't actually go out of his cab, take out a gun, and just start shooting people randomly across the street. You have to get into his cab and cause him grief for him to want to do anything
He's
to
got
you.
the whole dashboard full of weapons he has presumably taken from would-be carjackers.
Sure.
That's very much like a Philip Marlowe sort of character, where he doesn't really get upset unless somebody finally just annoys him and he just gets in their face.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, exactly. The perfect idea of an
Came out
anti-hero.
like the 1930s, 1940s, crime noir, hard-boiled detectives.
But with the element of the futuristic, where the cars fly now, and the
It's a dystopian
Okay.
a
New York.
dystopian
And
society.
Okay, and if the cars can fly, why was there traffic?
Because like everything, there has to be regulation. Think about it.
Yeah, there'd be 500 cars that all want to fly to the same place. They can't just all come whipping in from opposite directions and smash into each other.
They were
actually-
floating cars and cars with wheels at the same time.
But see, now that works because you're talking about the price deficiency.
How did that traffic work?
Go on, Wayne.
What do you call the rate of life? I don't know the word I'm looking for, but you have the rich people flying in the hover cars, and you have the poor people flying in the
Right,
cars
that
that
makes
are
sense,
driving in the
yeah.
cars that's still spewing out smoke and smog.
Yeah.
And don't forget, in the movie, the UN building was turned into low rent housing. I mean,
That's
what
right.
the fuck? The
dump.
UN building? It's a dump. He says that.
Don't forget the police just casually extort him as soon as he comes in the door.
Oh yeah, they give him a list.
Investigation. It's 1,000.
That's like the police in a Raymond Chandler. No, they're always
Right, they were already ready for the
they're
griff.
always going down. Always getting down on Philip Marlowe. It's like he's always getting beaten up by the police. Same difference with Harry Canyon in the story.
Yeah, and
It's very similar.
And another great movie, if anyone has a chance to watch it, is a movie called Thief with James Caan and a very young Jim Belushi, where Jim Belushi is actually playing a serious character for once, not a comedic sidekick. But the movie, I point this out, is because there's a scene where he is getting ready to do a job to steal some diamonds, and the cops find out about it. So the cops start bugging his home. They start following him around. Eventually, they grab him. They take him to the precinct. They start beating him up because they want a piece of the score. It's not that they want to stop him from committing the crime. They're just basically
they're not
like
planning on actually arresting him or charging him with anything.
actually doing their jobs. Exactly. What they want is a piece of that money that he's doing. And he,
Sure.
like
Is it
that Raymond
safe?
Chandler character, looks at those cops and goes, go fuck yourself.
Yes.
You're beating the shit out of me right now. I'm still not going to give you anything.
And he doesn't even really give them a reaction either. It's like one of those things. They're beating up. He's like, yeah, almost like, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
But I mean, the other thing I liked about the Harry Kenyon characters, they didn't make him a detective. He's just a cab driver. They didn't completely go into like the Sam Spade, Philip Marlowe character where he's like some private eye, working the streets of New York or wherever the hell it is.
Right, and if
No,
you
he's
actually
just a random cab driver.
Yeah.
In fact, he has no idea what to do beyond take the girl to the police first to see what the fuck.
And now, but here's the interesting thing: is the fact that is exactly what he does. He actually follows procedure. He's like, okay, I have a passed out woman in my car.
Yep.
The normal thing is I could probably, do some nutty things to her, dump her in a garbage can, and be on my way. Or I could take her to the cops, and he actually does the right thing. Yep. He's not asking for anything. He's not expecting anything, but he actually does the right thing.
I just recently read The Long Goodbye by Chandler, and I can see a lot of the similarities between that plot and the plot to the Harry Kenyon.
Right. It's almost like
it has those twists at the end too.
Well, it's like the same story, but written with like one of those big fat crayons you give to children that don't have motor skills.
I guess, yeah.
Okay, so besides Bruce Willis, who's obviously the Fifth Element, basically made him that character. Who would you cast in a live version of that character?
Harry Kenyon.
For Harry Kenyon or Corbin Dallas?
No, Harry Kenyon.
Okay.
Like you have the ability to turn it into a real live feature film.
Yeah.
Who would you cast?
That's a good question. It would have to be
Decent kind of a person, I guess.
Apparently, they're going to be casting Liam Neeson as Philip Marlowe. They're going to be doing some new Philip Marlowe movies.
I would have
make
to
a good
see.
Harry Kenyon. Idris Elba.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a valid point. That is a valid point.
I like that.
I think he would make an awesome, like grizzled old cab driver kind of dude. He has seen everything at least twice, and he's been sick of it for a while.
Slight element of when he gives
that.
you that look with the squint in his eye. It's that little bit of I don't give a.
Right. Well,
Yeah, he's got that
same
1,000-yard
Bruce Willis is
stare.
known for
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yep, pretty
Clint
much.
Eastwood had the same kind of effect on people also when he was younger.
Well, the difference is Bruce Willis at this point in his career, he just really doesn't give a fuck. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, now.
I think we all get to that point.
he's just acting for whatever he wants to act in.
Danny Glover isn't too old for this in this.
Hence why he's made the latest Die Hard movie, which
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I haven't seen it yet. I want to see it, but at the
With a
same
wheelchair.
exactly.
Actually, here's another
Die
good
Hard
question.
in a walker.
Another character, Captain Stern. Who would you cast in a movie?
Ooh, I would cast John Hamm.
Yeah.
Ooh, very
Yeah.
good.
I was actually
Quick,
I was
off the tip of the
actually thinking Patrick Warburton, but John Hamm. That's a good.
Yeah.
No,
Patrick
Patrick
does see- 'cause
Warburton
Patrick-
works for the scene
No
when he's in the
offense.
trial,
Yeah.
but after that,
No
that
offense,
seriousness
Patrick
of him.
Warburton
Yeah.
is a little bit overdone.
Yeah.
He's got his own
No, but you nailed it,
His
Jamie.
own name, his own niche of
Yeah.
voice, his own character.
No, but I think you-
right. But I think John Hamm would
Yeah.
be able to.
No.
Angle.
Yeah. So who else? Who else would? Who else would cast that?
Who would we put? Well, I mean, okay, who would we put for Den?
Oh gosh, they'd probably get somebody like Dave
Vin
Bautista.
Diesel
I was gonna say either.
actually resembles the character.
That's very true.
yeah.
I was actually gonna
The
say
Rock?
Dave Bautista or Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
I mean,
Oh
unfortunately,
wow, Dwayne Johnson too could.
because also you got to remember in the cartoon,
Yeah.
Den as a child or a young boy was white. I mean, you can't get any more whiter than white unless you're Scandinavian. And when he goes over to the other world, he is a lot tanner.
Yeah,
he's a
he is.
lot more.
And
Not
hung like a rhinoceros.
well.
apparently.
I mean,
Well, if you
It's
take a
rare
look at like his
speaking.
work in like Jumanji and that stuff, he'd be able to play that off with comedy, because like he's an 11-year-old boy now
But-
in an adult body.
but don't
Yes,
forget,
that is kind of like Jumanji.
the
Okay,
Den
yeah.
storyline is actually comedic. I mean, when you
Yep.
see the leader in the
definitely
toga get shot, and all of a sudden, you'll have to do better than that, and the bullets start clearing
No,
up, all you
Ard
hear
will
Den
have
is
the
say,
scepter.
I could see why they made this guy their leader. I mean, it was just a perfect line on John Candy's part.
No, John Candy.
I've had her encased in glass.
John Candy was great. I mean,
Oh, he was.
He was
Oh,
just,
yeah.
and I mean, just to do the kind of the dorky voice, and then go right to like the Den voice, And it's,
Why would I want to go
girl.
back? Why would I want to go back? I'm a god here.
Your parents.
I'm sure eventually he may have those thoughts of saying, you know what, you're right. I've been here for 20 years. I never once considered my parents' feelings. I don't know what they're going through. But
who am I kidding?
Yeah, you have to look at the fact that at the time, he's an 11-year-old kid who's living his fantasy.
And
Dungeons and Dragons that came true.
What guarantee did he actually have that anybody was going to be able to like flip a switch and fucking send him back anyway?
And I'm getting more ass than a toilet seat.
Wow, that's a pretty good statement right there.
Well, he was.
He was. That's true. Yeah, girls were throwing themselves at him.
It's like the Fast and the Furious movie. They better.
Well, it might have been his first time, so
What's
yeah.
hilarious is that like he actually somehow got this chick off. She's like, if you can please me, then I'll let you live, and it works. This totally works. He goes to bed with her, and she's like, you brought great peace to my restless body. This kid is like 11. I don't care what body he has. Where the fuck did he learn to get her off?
Before.
Probably his parents have magazines. I don't know.
No. Practical purposes. Repetitive motion. He has no practical experience in this. So how would he, as Den, as the other world Den, be able to do whatever he needed to do for this girl when in the 11-year-old world he's never done any of that stuff?
That works. Yeah.
No hair.
Big.
I suppose it's like if Morty became Den or something like that.
Oh, look at me. Oh my God.
Oh, jeez, oh man.
Morty,
man.
Morty, you're now a really big guy. My God, you're a really big guy, Morty. I mean, you got that thing hanging around. Get it out of my face, Morty.
And, oh my God, Morty.
See,
Look at that dork.
Yeah.
See, now here's the thing. I'm thinking more
Morty,
along the lines of
I'm gonna invest in
Jumanji,
a pair of pants for
the
you.
Dwayne The Rock version. The girl, Brittany, who goes into Jack Black's character, and she goes all nutty regarding his penis. He's like, oh my God, look at this thing. Oh, hey, come over here and see this. No, thank you. No, you gotta see this. This is so awesome.
Have you ever seen Being John Malkovich?
Yes,
I mean to, but
I
no.
didn't like it.
That was a weird film.
The chick gets out of the shower, like she's inside of John Malkovich. He gets out of the shower and starts like toweling off his dork, and the chick flips out, like it completely breaks her mind. Like,
Yeah, that was a weird movie.
Our younger viewers might not know that dork was originally the word for penis.
Yes.
there's no way I was walking around this place with my dork hanging out.
Exactly. Which, when we first saw it in
when
1995.
But now I've just
you're a
got to
big-
see John Candy walking around someplace with his dork hanging out. Would you even know?
Well, he's dead, so we wouldn't.
Kind of dead.
I think we would notice, yeah,
I hope
because
so.
if his dead ass is getting up out of the grave,
It's kind of like
I'm hoping someone's gonna mention it to somebody.
And
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
A community conscious individual.
Stern! He's nothing but a low-down, double-dealing, backstabbing, larcenous, perverted worm. Hanging's too good for him. Burning's too good for him. He should be torn into little bitsy pieces and buried alive. I'll kill him!
On behalf of Andrew, Jamie, Wayne, and Kevin, thank you for listening to The Mental Suppository. Until next week, this is Bret Herholtz saying,
I knew I'd disturb you.
The Mental Suppository has been produced by Bret Herholtz and Jamie Billings and distributed by M the Media Project. Theme music generously donated by Mr. B, the Gentleman Rhymer. Visit his webpage at gentlemanrhymer.com. We would love to hear from our fans. Email us at mentalsuppository@gmail.com.